Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Mama T. Today I want to make a shout out to somebody that's really special to me. My nephew, I call him Buster. So when he hears it, he'll know exactly who he is. He will be 10 in June, and he was honestly among one of my first subscribers, and he watches every one of my videos. So, hi there, Buster. So today we're making a very quick biscuit recipe, and I'm pretty positive you have most of these ingredients at home. The butter has to be really cold, so when you grate it, and we recommend you grate it from frozen or almost frozen. The milk also has to be really cold. So I'm going to move pretty quickly because I want the ingredients to stay cold. I started with 2 cups of all-purpose, not self-rising, all-purpose flour, and I'm adding 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of baking powder, not soda, to it. And then we're gonna mix all of this together, and then we'll add the butter. And my butter is frozen. I literally just took it out the freezer. As you can see, it's still frozen. And then what you do is you'll stir this, and if you have a wooden spoon, stir it with a wooden spoon. And if you don't have a grater by some chance, and you have a pastry, like a pastry tool, then you could cut the butter and do it like that. So then we'll stir. As you can see, the texture of the flour is changing. You will see it becoming like a grainy-like substance. And all the butter is incorporated into this. We just pour in the very cold milk. And you mix it pretty softly, but pretty consistently, so you're not really mixing it a lot. And it's going to be a little sticky, it's supposed to be. And I have already prepared my mat to turn it over in. And one of the keys to this recipe is not a lot of working of the dough. And I like these silicone mats because I bake on them as well as mix on them. And right now, you're not going to do a lot of kneading. That's really important in this recipe. Don't do a lot of kneading. You're just going to kind of work it until you work the flour in and your dough is no longer sticky. So as you can see, it's nice and together, and you definitely do not want to use a rolling pin with this recipe. Once the flour is matted in and is no longer sticky, you're going to fold it in half, and with your hands, just push it out to 1 inch. About, you can guess. Okay, so now it's about 1 inch thick. And you can use, I have a cookie cutter because I do a lot of baking, but you can also use the bottom of a glass. But one thing you never want to do when you're cutting is it's so easy to tempt it, but do not turn your cutter. Just press it down hard and lift it up. Because when you turn your cutter, what you're actually doing is working your dough more than you're supposed to. So just press it down and lift it up. Press it down and lift it up. And you can lay it on parchment paper if you have it. If not parchment paper, I would spray my pan a little with cooking spray, but with the silicone mat, you don't have to do that. You could just lay it like that, and that's why I tend to use the silicone mats versus the parchment paper. Number one, it's cheaper because once I buy them, I can reuse them over and over again. And as you can see, these have been reused quite a bit. And this biscuit is a very fluffy biscuit, so again, I'm not going to knead it. I'm just going to put it back into a bowl that will allow me to shape it up. And this is another recipe that it really would be fun to use with the kids. I hear a lot of people talking about the energy that the kids have while they're in the house. Find something to do to help, let them help you. And this biscuit making is fun, and the kneading part is a lot easier on the children than it would be on you. And then they'll be excited to know that they had a hand in something that they're eating. So you'll get anywhere from, depends on how thick you like your biscuits. This biscuit recipe rises pretty well. So I would say it's different because when I made a scratch thing, a sample thing, we only got 12. You can tell by now I'm pushing close to about 12 now. And again, no kneading, just pressing it out. And you have one little, and you could design this one any way you want. This one gonna be a log today because it's gonna be too small for me to wrap up. And I'm sorry, I forgot to say that I preheated the oven at 425. And yes, it seems kind of high, but I realize in making biscuits, you need a high heat because you don't want the biscuits to stay in the oven a long time. You can start off with 12 minutes. You may have to brown it a little longer. It depends on how dark you like your biscuits. I would say 14 minutes later, and our biscuits are ready. And as you can see, they're pretty golden brown. And actually, when you do, you can brush them with the top with butter or not. The only thing about not doing it, I started not to do it, but the finish of it looks better with the butter on it. Thank you so much for joining us for our episode of Quick Biscuits. They were done from start to finish in less than 30 minutes. Buster, thanks again for being my #1 supporter, and tell your mama to let you make these biscuits. Take care.